England 2000's golden generation. The superstars who couldn't play together. They had everything except the one thing that mattered: unity. Beckham, Gerrard, Lampard, Rooney, Ferdinand, Terry. Names that dominated the Premier League. Stars who won everything at club level. Yet together, they won nothing. The problem wasn't talent. It was trust. Players later confessed the truth. England's dressing room operated in hostile cliques. Manchester United players occupied one corner, refusing to mix. Chelsea stars formed their own exclusive circle. Liverpool and Arsenal lads did the same. This wasn't team bonding, it was a territorial divide in the dressing room. The timing couldn't have been worse. This was the Premier League's most venomous era. United versus Arsenal producing the Battle of Old Trafford brawl. Chelsea's Russian billions threatening the old guard. Liverpool scrapping to reclaim faded glory. Those club rivalries didn't pause for country duty, they intensified. Gerrard and Lampard, two of Europe's best midfielders, couldn't occupy the same pitch without cancelling each other out. Years of experiments, same result: tactical dysfunction. Sven-Göran Eriksson's rigid 4-4-2 left them tripping over each other while opponents exploited the chaos. After every tournament came the leaks, captaincy disputes, players undermining teammates, club loyalty trumping national duty. The tabloids weaponized it all. WAG drama, hotel scandals, manufactured controversies that consumed preparation time. On the pitch, the pattern repeated like clockwork. Demolish weak teams, freeze against elite opposition. Quarter-final exits at World Cup 2002 and 2006. Penalty heartbreak at Euro 2004. They were born to end 40 years of hurt. Instead, they became football's most painful example of underperformance. A generation too talented to fail, too fractured to succeed, forever haunted by what they should have been. Brazil 2006. When Joga Bonito flopped in Germany. On paper, unstoppable. On grass, uninterested. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Kaká, Adriano, Cafu, Roberto Carlos. A squad that read like a Hall of Fame ballot. Brazil arrived in Germany expecting glory, not competition. The fifth star felt inevitable. It wasn't. Behind the Samba smiles, rot had set in. Reports leaked immediately. Late-night parties, training sessions lacking urgency. Ronaldo looked slow and heavy. Adriano was drowning in depression that would soon end his career. Ronaldinho, fresh from conquering Europe, seemed more interested in Berlin's nightlife than the World Cup. The Magic Quartet never materialized. Just four individuals occupying the same space. Creativity suffocated by ego and indiscipline. Carlos Alberto Pereira's tactics belonged to a previous era. As Brazil coasted through the group stage, everyone assumed they'd flip the switch eventually. Champions always do. Except Zinedine Zidane had other plans. France waited in the quarters and humiliated them. Not just beat them, humiliated them. Thierry Henry's goal exposed the truth. Talent without extreme hunger is just mediocrity. Zidane, in his final tournament, conducted a midfield masterclass against opponents who couldn't be bothered to match his intensity. The 1-0 scoreline flattered Brazil. They were second to every ball, slow to every thought. The Seleção that promised domination became a punchline, their failure a reminder carved into football history. Complacency kills faster than any opponent. Past glory guarantees nothing. Big names mean nothing. When success feels inevitable, anything other than winning is viewed as failure. France 2010. The mutiny that shocked a nation. What happens when a World Cup team stops being a team? France 2010 answered that question in the most public, humiliating way imaginable. They arrived in South Africa as defending finalists, carrying the weight of 2006's heroic run to penalties against Italy. Benzema, Ribéry, Gourcuff, Anelka, Evra. Talent everywhere. Then, the floor collapsed. It started with Raymond Domenech, a manager who consulted astrology for team selection and had lost the dressing room years earlier. Players despised him. The feeling was mutual. When France opened with a dire 0-0 draw against Uruguay, the cracks showed. Then came Mexico, a 2-0 loss, another lifeless performance. Frustration boiled over. During training before the decisive South Africa match, Anelka exploded at Domenech in an expletive-filled tirade heard across the practice pitch. Domenech sent him home. The squad's response? Mutiny. Led by captain Patrice Evra, the players refused to train. They stayed on the team bus in protest while the world watched. cameras rolling, capturing French football's darkest moment in real time. Evra eventually emerged to read a statement defending their actions. The French Football Federation fell into chaos. Sports Minister Roselyne Bachelot called it a national scandal. President Sarkozy demanded answers. Back in France, the public turned on them completely. They weren't just losing football matches, they were embarrassing the Republic on the world stage. The South Africa match became a formality. France lost 2-1, eliminated in disgrace. No fight, no pride, just relief when it ended. The fallout was nuclear. Domenech was finally sacked. Multiple players banned from international duty. Neisner, the South African town where it all imploded, became synonymous with failure, a French word for sporting disgrace that still stings over a decade later. This wasn't a golden generation that couldn't click. This was open rebellion. Career suicide performed live for global consumption. France 2010 didn't just fail, they showed the world what happens when discipline dies, egos run wild, and a team forgets they represent more than themselves. The mutiny became legend, but for all the wrong reasons. Real Madrid, 2003 to 2006. Galacticos overkill. Florentino Perez didn't build a football team. He built a brand with a pulse. Zidane, Ronaldo, Beckham, Figo, Raúl, Roberto Carlos. Galacticos assembled to conquer both football and commerce. The Bernabeu became a Hollywood studio. Every signing a blockbuster announcement. But behind the flash photography, the structure was collapsing. Perez's fatal obsession with attacking superstars led to the decision that killed the project, selling Claude Makelele. Just a defensive midfielder we can replace, Perez said, revealing he fundamentally didn't understand his own team. Makelele was the water carrier keeping the Galacticos hydrated. Without him, they dehydrated in real time. Managers rotated like seasonal fashion. Nobody could control the circus or implement a coherent philosophy. Egos clashed constantly over status, playing time, and who got the camera's attention. Star signings allegedly received contractual playing time guarantees regardless of form. Meritocracy died. Between 2003 and 2006, despite the billions invested and talent hoarded, Real Madrid won 0 Champions League trophies and 0 La Liga titles. 0. They collected individual awards, while Barcelona, led by Ronaldinho, collected team trophies and El Clasico victories that stung worse than any European elimination. The Galacticos became a cautionary tale taught in boardrooms. You can buy legends, you can buy jerseys with their names, you can buy marketing reach. But chemistry, team spirit, collective sacrifice, those can't be purchased. They're earned through struggle, humility, and putting the badge above the brand. Madrid forgot football is played by teams, not collections of individuals who happen to share a jersey colour. Belgium's golden men. For a decade, Belgium sat at the top of the FIFA rankings, their roster overflowing with Premier League royalty. De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, Courtois, Company, world-class players at world-class clubs. On paper, Belgium had finally arrived. The trophy case told a different story. Empty. Their peak came in Russia 2018. Breathtaking football, genuine belief, a nation daring to dream. Then Samuel Umtiti's 51st minute header ended everything. That was their window. It closed fast. Euro 2020 brought quarter-final heartbreak against Italy. Frustration mounted. World Cup 2022 in Qatar delivered the final humiliation. Group stage elimination, visible dysfunction. A squad that looked mentally finished before kickoff. The whispers became headlines. Dressing room fractured beyond repair. De Bruyne, Hazard and Courtois clashing over tactics, leadership, everything. Then De Bruyne said the quiet part out loud. We're too old now. The admission landed like a funeral announcement. Roberto Martinez sealed their fate with loyalty to the wrong generation. He kept picking aging stars who'd lost their legs, while young talents like Doku and De Ketelaere rotted on the bench, watching their prime years evaporate. By the time Martinez acted, it was too late. Player power became toxic, senior figures undermining instructions, sabotaging change. Belgium's golden age didn't end with a bang. It ended with recrimination, blame shifting, and the suffocating weight of unfulfilled potential. They were the best team to never win anything. A title that sounds impressive until you realize it's not a title at all. Just a painful reminder that talent is worthless without timing, unity, and the hunger to actually finish what you started. Argentina 2006 to 2016. Messi's decade of final heartbreak. Lionel Messi spent 10 years proving a painful truth. Individual genius can't overcome collective dysfunction. The pattern repeated like a curse. Dominate matches, reach finals, collapse when it mattered. Between 2006 and 2016, Argentina fielded some of the world's best attackers. Messi, Aguero, Higuain, Di Maria, Tevez, but played like strangers forced together at the last minute. 3 finals, 3 defeats. 3 different ways to break a nation's heart. Germany 2014 came first. Argentina clawed through the World Cup on Messi's brilliance and Mascherano's warrior defending. The final against Germany went to extra time, 0-0, hope alive. Then Mario Götze happened. 113th minute, 1-0. Dreams shattered. But the real pain was Higuain's miss in the first half. 1-on-1 with Neuer, dragged wide. That miss haunts Argentina still. 1 year later, Copa America 2015 in Chile. Another final. Chile this time. Penalties. Messi stepped up first, converted. Argentina led. Then everything unraveled. Chile won. Messi walked up to collect his Player of the Tournament award looking like a man at a funeral. 12 months after that, Copa America 2016. Final against Chile. Again. Penalties. Again. And this time Messi, who'd never missed a shootout penalty for Argentina, sent his attempt over the crossbar. Chile won. Again. What followed broke hearts beyond football. Messi announced his international retirement in the mixed zone, devastated. Done with the heartbreak. The national team is over for me, he said, voice flat with exhaustion. He'd carried Argentina for a decade and had nothing to show but silver medals that felt like curses. Behind the 3 finals lurks deeper dysfunction. Coaches rotated constantly, nobody lasting long enough to build anything coherent. The Argentine FA operated in permanent chaos. Messi and Aguero thrived at Barcelona and Manchester City, but couldn't translate that chemistry to national colours. Higuain's big game misses became a tragic pattern, most painfully that 1-on-1 with Neuer in the 2014 World Cup final. Then crucial chances in both Copa finals. Moments that demanded composure, moments that never converted. The psychological weight became unbearable. Argentina 2006 to 2016 taught the cruelest lesson. Sometimes the greatest player alive isn't enough. Portugal 2000 to 2006. The hosts that lost to Greece. Hosting Euro 2004 should have been Portugal's coronation. Figo, Rui Costa, Deco, Carvalho, teenage Ronaldo. This was their moment, scripted by destiny itself. The entire nation believed. Then Greece happened, twice. First in the opener, a shocking defeat to defensive nobodies that should have been a warning. Portugal recovered, clawed through to the final, and faced Greece again in Lisbon's Stadium of Light. The football gods offered redemption. Portugal refused it, lost 1-0. Angelos Charisteas' header from a set-piece crushed a nation's dreams in their own stadium. The silence that followed was deafening. This wasn't just a loss, it was a national trauma. The team that played beautiful, expansive football was undone by a side built entirely on defensive grit and set-piece execution. Pragmatism defeated artistry. Work rate conquered talent. The pressure from home crowds that should have lifted them became suffocating weight instead. Expectation turned into paralysis. Manager Luis Felipe Scolari refused to adapt, despite watching Greece employ the same blueprint twice. Tactical stubbornness met psychological fragility. The combination was fatal. That defeat haunted Portugal for 12 years until Euro 2016 finally delivered redemption. Ironically, with a similar defensive approach they'd once lost to. But for Figo's generation, there was no redemption arc. Their fairy tale ended as a nightmare, the dream dying on home soil in front of their own people. Chelsea 2004 to 2008. The team that almost conquered Europe. Roman Abramovich's billions transformed Chelsea overnight. Jose Mourinho's genius made them ruthless. They conquered England with clinical efficiency. Back-to-back Premier League titles, establishing a new order. But England wasn't enough. Europe was the obsession. It kept slipping away. Lampard, Terry, Drogba, Makelele, Robben. All great players longing for the Champions League trophy. 2005. Liverpool's ghost goal that never crossed a line but was somehow awarded. 2006. 2007. Liverpool again. Heartbreak again. Then came Moscow 2008. The final. Their destiny. Rain-soaked Luzhniki Stadium. Penalties against Manchester United. John Terry stepped up to seal glory for Chelsea. His standing legs slipped on the waterlogged surface. The ball hit the post. The captain, who would have died for the club, denied by wet grass and cruel fate. That image, Terry on his knees, face buried in the turf, became the symbol of their European curse. Behind the trophies lurked constant tension. Mourinho's relationship with Abramovich deteriorated publicly over transfer control. The manager wanted warriors. The owner wanted Galacticos. Shevchenko arrived. Abramovich's vanity signing. Mourinho's tactical nightmare. The Ukrainian legend couldn't adapt. Dressing room unity eroded. Leaks to media, power struggles, political warfare. They had everything required to dominate Europe for years, except the stability to see it through. Chelsea finally won the Champions League in 2012 with a weaker, older squad that had no business winning it. Di Matteo's caretaker team achieved what Mourinho's empire couldn't. Arsenal 2007 to 2010, the boys who never grew up. After the Invincibles dissolved, Arsène Wenger made a choice. Youth over experience, beauty over pragmatism, principles over trophies. Fabregas, Van Persie, Nasri, Walcott. Teenagers playing football from another dimension. Intricate passing, fluid movement, technical excellence that made purists weep. They were captivating to watch. They won nothing. Title challenges collapsed under pressure like clockwork. Eduardo's leg-breaking injury against Birmingham in 2008 didn't just sideline a player, it traumatized the entire squad and derailed a genuine title challenge. The psychological scars never healed. Late collapses became Arsenal's signature. Matches they controlled until the 85th minute somehow ended in defeat. The pattern repeated too often to be coincidence. It was mentality, or lack thereof. Then came the exodus. Hleb to Barcelona, Adebayor and Touré to Manchester City. Eventually, Fabregas crawling back to Barcelona. Nasri following money to City. Every summer, another star departed for clubs that paid better and won more. The cycle was exhausting. Behind the beautiful football, immaturity festered. The Adebayor-Bentner training ground fight symbolized everything wrong. No discipline, no leadership, no consequences. Emirates Stadium debt strangled ambition. Highbury's fortress atmosphere replaced by corporate silence and empty seats. Wenger's stubborn idealism, admirable in theory, became Arsenal's prison. He refused to buy experience when youth needed guidance, refused to embrace pragmatism when artistry failed, refused to adapt when the same patterns produced the same failures. Pundits praised them for playing the right way. Rivals punished them for being soft. Arsenal became football's eternal coming-of-age story that never came of age. Brilliant teenagers who remained teenagers even as they aged. Talent without the mentality to convert promise into silverware. Ivory Coast, 2006 to 2014, Africa's greatest opportunity. For a continent desperate for validation, Ivory Coast carried Africa's dreams. Drogba, Yaya Touré, Kolo Touré, Gervinho, Kalou. Stars of Europe united by pride and purpose. 3 consecutive World Cups, multiple AFCONs as overwhelming favourites. The talent was undeniable. The results were heartbreaking. Every World Cup brought the same cruel script. Brutal groups of death, early elimination despite competitive performances. 2006, Argentina and Netherlands. 2010, Brazil and Portugal. The draws felt rigged. The exits felt inevitable. At AFCON's 2012, everything aligned. Home soil, passionate crowds. Drogba at his peak. Final against Zambia. Then Drogba missed a penalty in the 72nd minute. The symbolism was crushing. The hero whose influence once paused a civil war couldn't convert when his nation needed him most. The match ended in a penalty shootout, which Zambia won. The civil war added layers to it. Drogba's plea for peace in 2005 had stopped fighting temporarily. Football united a fractured nation. That made every defeat feel heavier. Not just sporting disappointment, but national trauma reopened. Behind the scenes, dysfunction thrived. Player power battles, federation politics, managers struggling to control egos from Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Barcelona. Too many chiefs chiefs, not enough soldiers. For a decade, Africa believed Ivory Coast would deliver the historic moment the continent craved. A World Cup quarter-final, an AFCON triumph to match their talent. Neither came. Instead, an entire continent was left with heartbreak, near misses, and the painful question, why couldn't they do it when it mattered? The answer remains elusive. Maybe timing, maybe luck, maybe that intangible winning mentality that separates the great from the nearly great. Ivory Coast's golden generation shone brilliantly at club level, but never touched international glory. Africa's greatest opportunity became Africa's most painful reminder. Individual brilliance means nothing without collective execution, when pressure peaks and history beckons. Netherlands, 1996 to 2008. The Flying Losers. 20 years after total football broke hearts in consecutive finals, the Dutch proved some curses never lifts. This generation, Bergkamp, Kluivert, Seedorf, Davids, Van der Sar, Overmars, later Robin, Van Persie, Sneijder, had everything their 1970s predecessors had. Technical brilliance, tactical sophistication, arrogance, and the exact same result. Beautiful football, heartbreaking exits, self-destruction when it mattered most. Euro 1996 set the template. Quarter-finals against France. Penalties. Missed. Out. But 1998 hurt worse. That Dutch team played mesmerizing football through the World Cup, reaching the semi-finals on Bergkamp's genius. Against Brazil, they dominated for long stretches, pushed the holders to the limit. Then came penalties. Bergkamp converted his, but Cocu's shot was saved by Tafarel. Then Ronald de Boer stepped up for the decisive kick, and Tafarel saved again. Brazil advanced. Behind the scenes, toxic personalities poisoned progress constantly. Edgar Davids got sent home from Euro 1996 after confronting manager Guus Hiddink. Seedorf and Van Hooijdonk clashed with coaches repeatedly. The Dutch tradition of brutal honesty became their downfall. Euro 2000 brought renewed hope. Co-hosts with Belgium, Bergkamp and Kluivert in form, a midfield featuring Seedorf, Davids and Cocu. Semi-finals against Italy. Penalties. Again. Eliminated. Again. The pattern was suffocating. By Euro 2004, they lost to Portugal in the semi-finals. Cristiano Ronaldo scoring one of his first major tournament goals. The 2006 World Cup delivered a new low. The round of 16 against Portugal descended into chaos. 16 yellow cards by full time, 4 red cards. The Battle of Nuremberg. Van Bommel sent off. Boularus too. The Dutch played their most cynical, undisciplined football ever and still lost. Euro 2008 should have been their moment. They demolished Italy and France in the group stage. Glorious football that reminded everyone why people loved watching the Netherlands. The quarter-final against Russia, lost 3-1. Guus Hiddink, the Russian manager, outsmarted his former national team. The Dutch, once again, flattered to deceive. What made this era especially painful was the talent never being in question. Van der Sar became Manchester United's legendary keeper. Bergkamp an Arsenal icon. Seedorf won 4 Champions Leagues. Robben conquered Europe with Chelsea and Bayern. Individually world-class, collectively cursed. From 1996 to 2008, Netherlands taught the same lesson their 1974 and 1978 teams had. You can play the most beautiful football on earth and still go home empty-handed, because tournaments reward winners, not artists. The most gifted generation to achieve nothing.
These stories hurt because they're true. Subscribe for more tales of brilliance, heartbreak, and the cruel gap between talent and success.